Hi, my name is Emma Mercer, and I'm actually here to talk to you about the evolution of echocardiograms. But first, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever been to the doctor for heart pains? Now, they may have actually suggested you go to a cardiologist, and that cardiologist may have suggested that you get an echocardiogram performed. So, an echocardiogram is a very advanced piece of medical equipment that is able to see the anatomy of our heart, where the blood is pumping through our valves and chambers. So the main reason I chose this topic is because I went to go see a cardiologist when they suspected that I had a heart condition, and he suggested I get an echocardiogram done. Now, while I was getting that performed, I happened to look up at the machine and was really interested on how this machine came about. Who thinks of this and how has it helped us in any way? So first, I would like you to put your hand over your heart. You can feel it beat. It may be slow, it may be fast. Now I'd like you to stand up really quickly and then sit back down. And then put your hand back over your heart. It's probably beating a little faster. Now I'd like you to stand right back up. Maybe do 5 jumping jacks and then sit back down. And once again, put your hand over your heart. Most likely, your heart is actually beating pretty fast. Normally, that's what's supposed to happen. But the way you're feeling right now and the way your heart is beating is how I would feel just watching TV. So obviously, I knew something was wrong. So I went ahead and saw a cardiologist. So the echocardiogram machine was actually able to help me identify my heart condition. Now, I don't consider myself an expert on this topic, but the past few weeks I've done quite a bit of research and have found some pretty interesting things. So to begin, I want to go ahead and answer the question, how did the echocardiogram come about? So these two guys right here, Karl Helmuth Hertz and Inge Elder, were actually the creators of clinical cardiography. And this actually dates back to the 1950s. And 1968 was the first academic course on the cardiac ultrasound, and the first book was published in 1972. And the first form of them was actually M mode, but M mode did not show enough of the anatomy of the heart, so they actually kind of dropped that idea and moved on to more advanced medical equipment. So this is actually what a modern day echocardiogram machine looks like. So why would we need this machine right here? It doesn't seem like much actually, but I believe it does quite a bit for everyone. So its main reason for being built and being made is to detect heart disease and heart conditions. So cardiomyopathy is actually one of the main diseases detected by the echocardiogram. And this disease actually causes your heart to stiffen and enlarge and cause scar tissue. And to be able to see the blood pumping through the valves and the chambers is actually very helpful to doctors to be able to connect the dots and diagnose these patients. Another one is endocarditis, and that is actually a fatal inflammation in your heart. Once again, you'd be able to see that inflammation. And like I said, it is fatal. So if we didn't have this machine, how would anyone know what you're going through and be able to detect that and get you the help you need before it does become fatal? So the reason there are so many different types of echoes is because there are many different types of diseases that need to be able to be detected. And sonographers are actually the people who perform these, and there's a thing called a transducer that actually is the piece of equipment that shoots beams to your heart and reflects it onto the screen to show you what's going on and what's happening. So next I want to answer the question, does echocardiography play a big role in the medical field? And I believe it does. A study by Science Direct actually shows us the statistics here from 2001 to 2011. Now, they roughly estimated around 7,699,000 people were echo users, and it grew at an average rate of around 3.41%. And this is just kind of like a rough draft of a graph that I made of the growth rate from 2001 to 2011. And the main echo users were actually found on the East Coast, but on a state-by-state basis, you had Rhode Island, New York, and Montana were the biggest echo users from 2001 to 2011. So really, we owe all of this to these two guys right here. Like I mentioned before, 7 million people have been helped by this machine. And without these two men right here, you know, where would we be out of those 7 million people? Where would they be? And they could not have gotten the help they need without this machine. And echocardiography dates back to the 1950s, and it has made many, many advancements and has helped so many people. So I wrote this speech because I was scared when I got my diagnosis. And I thought that maybe if I talked about an aspect of the conditions and diseases and something that goes into that, it may ease your worries. Because as I was researching this, you know, it kind of helped ease my worries that I know that there is many, many different types of medical equipment that can help so many people just like you and me. So I hope that while you're watching this, I either educated you or eased your worries. And thank you for listening.